Hey there.
Yeah.
Ever feel like you're juggling like ancient wisdom and modern self-help and trying to figure out how it all applies to your life?
Mm.
Well, today's deep dive is for you.
Okay.
We've got this stack of books that seem totally different.
Right.
Like from Seneca's Stoic letters to Naval Ravikant's digital age advice. But they all offer these like timeless lessons that are surprisingly relevant to how we live and work today.
Yeah. What's fascinating is how these books spanning like centuries converge on some fundamental truths about human nature.
Right.
We're talking self-mastery,
Right.
resilience,
Yeah.
finding happiness amidst chaos, things that are just as challenging now as they were for like Roman emperors or early philosophers.
Right.
Yeah.
So first up, let's tackle Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Okay.
This one's all about the power of our self-image and how we can actually reprogram it for success.
Right.
He uses this analogy of a baby learning to grasp a rattle.
Oh, okay.
It's not about being perfect on the first try. It's about those small wins adding up over time.
Think about a time you felt unstoppable.
Okay?
Maybe you landed a big deal or nailed a presentation.
Right.
What beliefs did you hold about yourself then? Maltz argues we can tap into that success mechanism on demand.
Okay.
It's not just positive thinking.
Right.
It's about understanding how our self-image shapes our reality.
So if I'm constantly telling myself I'm bad at public speaking, I'm actually reinforcing that belief.
Exactly.
And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. And one technique Maltz offers is using mental imagery for relaxation.
Yeah.
Imagine your limbs getting heavy, sinking into the floor, releasing tension. It's a quick way to calm those everyday anxieties.
Yeah.
Almost like a mental reset button.
Okay. That's actually something I could try right now.
Right.
But let's shift gears. We've seen how our minds can shape reality. But what about that external world, specifically finances?
Yeah.
That's where Roger James Hamilton's The Millionaire Masterplan comes in. He introduces this concept of the Wealth Lighthouse as a roadmap to financial stability.
The interesting thing about this roadmap is it acknowledges there's no one-size-fits-all approach to wealth.
Okay.
Hamilton outlines 4 genius types:
Right.
dynamo, blaze, tempo,
Okay.
and steel, each with their own strengths and ways of creating value.
Right.
It's about figuring out your genius and tailoring your financial strategies accordingly.
So it's less about following generic advice and more about understanding your own strengths and playing to them.
Precisely. Let's say you're a blaze type,
Okay.
someone who thrives on connection and building relationships. Hamilton might suggest you leverage that by working with successful people in your field, learning from them, building those crucial connections. It's a very personalized approach to wealth building.
It sounds like a journey.
Yeah.
Starting with a brutally honest assessment of where you stand financially, and then climbing that wealth lighthouse step by step. Yeah.
It's a process.
Now, for a totally different perspective, let's time travel back to ancient Rome
Okay.
with Seneca's letters from a Stoic.
Right.
These letters are packed with wisdom about living a good life.
What's striking is how Seneca's ideas, written almost 2,000 years ago, resonate with modern self-help principles.
Wow.
He emphasizes studying philosophy not just as an intellectual pursuit, but as a guide to living virtuously,
Right.
making choices that align with your values.
Okay, but isn't Stoicism all about being, well, stoic? Like suppressing your emotions and just enduring whatever life throws at you?
That's a common misconception. Seneca actually talks a lot about the importance of friendship, choosing your friends wisely and sharing your inner life with them.
Okay.
He also addresses the fear of death, suggesting we prepare for life's uncertainties and accept death as a natural part of the cycle.
So it's less about being emotionless and more about finding balance and resilience in the face of challenges.
Exactly. Seneca encourages us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions,
Yeah.
and accept what we can't.
Yeah.
It's basically saying worrying about things you can't change is like letting your mind be a prisoner.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
All right, ready to fast forward to the present.
Sure.
Our final book is The Almanack of Naval Ravikant,
Okay.
a compilation of insights on wealth and happiness in the digital age.
Ravikant blends practical advice with philosophical wisdom,
Right.
emphasizing things like building a good reputation.
Uh-huh.
He calls it compounded interest in relationships.
Oh, interesting.
He also recognizes that money is a tool for freedom, not an end in itself.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Ravikant talks about quieting that monkey mind that constant chatter in our heads that keeps us from being present and finding peace.
Right.
He draws on Eastern philosophies and practices like meditation to tame that mental noise and cultivate inner peace.
What's fascinating is that he doesn't present happiness as something that just happens.
Right.
He sees it as a skill to be cultivated, something we can actively work towards by understanding our minds and making conscious choices.
So we've got 4 books, each offering a unique perspective. But they all seem to be pointing to this idea of mastering ourselves, our minds, our emotions, our habits, to create a life that is both successful and fulfilling.
And that's a powerful message, especially today, where we're constantly bombarded with distractions and pressures to achieve more, be more, have more.
Right.
These books remind us that true success and happiness come from within.
Before we move on, I'm curious to hear more about how our listeners can actually apply these concepts to their lives.
Sure.
Let's dive a bit deeper into Psycho-Cybernetics and see what Maltz has to say about breaking free from those limiting beliefs that hold us back.
One of the key things Maltz talks about is recognizing that we're often hypnotized by our own beliefs. We accept these beliefs about ourselves, whether positive or negative, without questioning them.
Right.
And they become self-fulfilling prophecies.
He uses the example of a student who believed he was bad at math.
Okay.
As a result, he performed poorly in the subject.
Right.
But once he had a breakthrough moment and realized he could understand math, his confidence soared. And his grades improved.
Wow.
It highlights the power of shifting our beliefs.
So how do we break free from that mental hypnosis? How do we de-hypnotize ourselves and start believing in our own potential?
Maltz emphasizes the power of rational thinking.
Okay.
He argues that many of our negative beliefs are based on irrational conclusions we've drawn from past experiences. By consciously questioning those beliefs and examining the evidence, we can start to challenge their validity and replace them with more empowering beliefs.
That's so important. It's like we're taking back control of our minds and choosing to believe in ourselves.
Right.
But Maltz doesn't just talk about the mental side of things, right?
Right.
He also explores how our physical actions can shape our self-image. What does he say about that? Absolutely. Maltz talks about the importance of acting as if, behaving in a way that's consistent with the person you want to become.
Right.
Our actions can actually influence our feelings and beliefs.
It's like faking it till you make it.
In a way, yes. But it's more about aligning your actions with your desired self-image.
Okay.
For example, if you want to be more confident, start by acting more confidently.
Right.
Even if you don't feel that way internally.
Yeah.
Over time, those actions can rewire your brain and change how you see yourself.
This makes me think about all those times I psyched myself out of doing something because I didn't feel ready or good enough.
Right.
What if I just went for it anyway?
That's the spirit. Maltz encourages us to embrace a success mechanism mindset. To focus on our successes, learn from our mistakes, and keep moving forward, even when we feel uncertain or afraid.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired to step outside my comfort zone.
Good.
But before I go jumping off any metaphorical cliffs, let's circle back to the Millionaire Masterplan.
Okay.
We talked about those different genius types. But how do you actually identify your own genius? Is there a test you can take?
While there isn't a formal test, Hamilton suggests reflecting on your past experiences.
Okay.
Think about times when you felt most energized and engaged in your work.
Right.
What were you doing? What came naturally?
Yeah.
What did others find difficult that you found easy?
Right.
These clues can point you toward your innate strengths and help you identify your genius type.
That's a great starting point.
Yeah.
And once you know your genius type, how do you actually use that knowledge to climb the Wealth Lighthouse?
Right.
What are some concrete steps?
First and foremost, it's about aligning your actions with your genius.
Okay.
If you're a blaze type who thrives on connecting with people, it wouldn't make sense to choose a career that isolates you.
Yeah.
You might consider a role in sales marketing or entrepreneurship. It's not just about finding any job or business opportunity.
Okay.
It's about finding the right fit for you.
So how does the Wealth Lighthouse actually guide you towards that financial stability?
Hamilton provides a step-by-step framework.
Okay.
It starts with getting your finances in order, creating a budget, and identifying areas where you can cut costs or increase your income.
Okay.
From there, it's about setting clear financial goals, developing a plan,
Right.
and taking consistent action.
Mm-hmm.
It can feel less intimidating when you break it down into smaller steps.
What about those of us who are feeling financially stuck? Does the Wealth Lighthouse offer any guidance?
Absolutely. Hamilton acknowledges that financial distress can be overwhelming.
Okay.
He emphasizes being honest about your situation,
Right.
seeking support when needed,
Yeah.
and developing a plan to get back on track. He also stresses that financial stability isn't just about making more money,
Right.
but about changing your mindset and habits around money.
It's about taking ownership regardless of where you are on your journey.
Exactly. That sense of ownership can be incredibly empowering.
Right.
Recognizing that you have the power to change your circumstances and create a more secure future.
Wow. That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Now let's move from the practical world of finances to something a bit more timeless.
Oh, okay.
Wisdom.
Right.
We touched on Seneca's letters from a Stoic.
Uh-huh.
But what makes these letters so relevant to us today, almost 2,000 years after they were written?
What makes Seneca's writings so enduring is his focus on the timeless challenges of being human.
Right.
He tackles fear, anxiety, loss, the search for meaning issues that are just as relevant today as they were in ancient Rome.
Right.
And he offers practical advice for navigating these challenges, drawing on the principles of Stoic philosophy.
I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what Stoicism actually is. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. Stoicism is a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece and became popular in Rome. It teaches that virtue is the only true good. And external factors like wealth, health, or reputation are ultimately indifferent.
Okay.
Stoics believe we achieve happiness and fulfillment by focusing on what's within our control. Our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions to events.
Yeah.
They also emphasize living in harmony with nature,
Okay.
both the natural world and the rational order of the universe.
So it's about accepting what we can't control, focusing on what we can, and living a virtuous life.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty relevant to today's world.
Absolutely. And Seneca's letters are full of practical examples of how to put these principles into practice.
Like what?
He writes about controlling anger, dealing with grief, choosing friends wisely,
Right.
and finding contentment in the present moment.
Okay.
His writing is surprisingly relatable, full of wisdom that can help us navigate the complexities of modern life.
Can you share a specific example of Seneca's advice that resonated with you?
One that stands out is his letter on the shortness of life. He argues that we often waste time on trivial pursuits and fail to appreciate the preciousness of the present moment.
Right.
He encourages us to live each day as if it were our last, to focus on what truly matters, and to make the most of the time we have.
That's a powerful message. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to savor the simple joys of being alive.
Right.
Seneca's words are a great reminder to slow down and appreciate what we have. But let's bring this back to our listeners.
Okay.
If someone is feeling overwhelmed by everything we've discussed, where should they start? Which of these books would you recommend they pick up first?
That's a great question. It really depends on what the listener is struggling with or hoping to achieve.
Right.
If they're feeling stuck and want to boost their confidence and self-belief, Psycho-Cybernetics is a great place to start.
Okay.
Maltz provides practical techniques for reprogramming your self-image and achieving your goals.
What if someone is feeling lost and searching for meaning and purpose? Would Seneca's letters from a Stoic be a good fit?
Absolutely. Seneca's letters offer timeless wisdom about living a virtuous life, navigating challenges, and finding peace and contentment amidst the chaos. His writings can provide a sense of grounding and direction for those who are feeling lost or uncertain.
And what about those who are struggling with finances or looking to create more wealth and abundance?
For those folks, I'd recommend checking out the Millionaire Masterplan.
Right.
Hamilton's framework provides a clear roadmap for achieving financial stability and building wealth.
Right.
Regardless of your starting point, he emphasizes understanding your own strengths and leveraging those strengths to create value and achieve your financial goals.
Okay, so we've got some great recommendations based on different needs and goals.
Yep.
But what about the Almanack of Naval Ravikant?
Right.
Who would you recommend that book to?
The Almanack is a great read for anyone who's interested in exploring the intersection of wealth happiness and personal growth in the digital age. Ravikant offers a unique blend of practical advice and philosophical wisdom, drawing on both Eastern and Western traditions.
It sounds like there's something in these books for everyone, regardless of their background, their goals, or their current challenges. But before we wrap up part 2, I want to touch on a theme that has come up repeatedly.
Okay.
The importance of self-awareness.
Yeah.
It seems like all of these authors are urging us to take a good hard look at ourselves.
You're absolutely right. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth and development.
Okay.
It's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses, our values and beliefs, our patterns and habits.
Right.
It's about knowing who we are at our core so that we can make choices that are aligned with our true selves and create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling.
This has been so insightful, but we'll have to save the rest for part 3.
Yay.
Until then, listeners, keep those pages turning and those minds expanding. We'll be back soon to delve deeper into Naval Ravikant's The Almanack and explore his unique perspectives on wealth, happiness, and the power of the mind. Welcome back to our deep dive into timeless wisdom. In this final part, we're zeroing in on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
Okay.
This book is packed with insights on wealth, happiness, and the power of the mind, all viewed through the lens of the digital age.
What's unique about Ravikant's perspective is that he blends ancient wisdom with modern practicality.
Right.
He draws on Eastern philosophies, especially Buddhism,
Okay.
but he also speaks from his own experience as a successful entrepreneur and investor in the tech world.
One of the things that really stood out to me in the Almanack was his emphasis on building specific knowledge and leverage.
Right?
Can you break that down for us?
Ravikant believes that to create wealth and achieve success in any field, you need to develop a unique set of skills and knowledge that are highly valuable and in demand.
Okay.
He calls this specific knowledge because it's not something you can easily learn from a textbook or in a traditional classroom.
So it's not just about getting a degree or acquiring general knowledge. It's about going deep into a particular area and becoming an expert.
Exactly. Think about it this way.
Okay.
Anyone can learn basic coding.
Right.
But true mastery comes from building real-world projects, experimenting, and constantly pushing your boundaries. That's how you develop specific knowledge.
And how does leverage fit into this equation?
Leverage is about amplifying your impact and output without necessarily increasing your effort.
Right.
It's about finding ways to scale your work and ideas so you can reach a wider audience and create more value. Technology plays a big role here.
So in the digital age, leverage might look like building an online business, creating content that reaches millions, or developing software that automates tasks.
Exactly. The internet, social media, and all these digital tools give us incredible leverage.
Right.
They allow us to connect with people worldwide, share our ideas, and create impact on a scale that wasn't possible before.
We've talked a lot about finding work that aligns with your strengths and passions.
Right.
How does that relate to Ravikant's ideas about specific knowledge and leverage?
It's all connected. When you find work that you're passionate about and that aligns with your unique skills, it becomes easier to develop specific knowledge.
Right.
And when you have specific knowledge, you can create leverage, which allows you to achieve greater success and fulfillment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears for a moment and talk about happiness.
All right.
How does Ravikant define happiness, and what advice does he offer for cultivating it?
Ravikant, drawing on Buddhist teachings, sees happiness as a state of inner peace and contentment that isn't dependent on external circumstances.
Right.
He believes that true happiness comes from letting go of attachments, accepting what is, and finding joy in the present moment.
Okay.
It's about wanting what you have, not having what you want.
So much of our world is focused on acquiring more, achieving more, always striving for the next thing. It's refreshing to hear someone emphasizing contentment with what we already have.
It's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of chasing after happiness, we cultivate it within ourselves by appreciating the simple joys of life, finding contentment in everyday moments, and experiencing a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment.
Ravikant also talks about taming the monkey mind.
Yes.
That constant chatter in our heads that keeps us from being present and finding peace.
Yeah.
What are some strategies he suggests for dealing with that?
He sees the monkey mind as a natural part of being human.
Okay.
Our minds are constantly generating thoughts, worries, and desires. But we can train our minds just like we train our bodies. Meditation is like a mental gym.
Okay.
It helps us develop awareness of our thoughts, observe them without judgment, and let them go.
So it's not about silencing our thoughts completely. It's about learning to detach from them.
Exactly. As we practice meditation, we develop a sense of spaciousness and stillness within ourselves.
Okay.
We become less reactive to our thoughts and emotions.
Right.
And experience greater peace and clarity.
So to start somewhere.
Ravikant even suggests that if you can't meditate for an hour, try meditating for a minute.
Right.
The key is to make it a regular practice.
That's really encouraging for anyone who feels intimidated by the idea of meditation. What other advice does Ravikant offer for cultivating a sense of inner peace?
He emphasizes the importance of aligning your actions with your values.
Okay.
When you live a life that is true to yourself,
Right.
you naturally experience a greater sense of peace and fulfillment. He also talks about the importance of building meaningful relationships with people who support your growth and well-being.
It sounds like Ravikant's approach to happiness is holistic,
Yeah.
encompassing both internal practices like mindfulness and meditation, as well as external factors like the work we do and the relationships we cultivate.
Absolutely. It's about creating a life that is aligned with your values,
Right.
your passions, and your purpose.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the most valuable takeaway from the Almanack of Naval Ravikant?
I think the most important message is that you have the power to create the life you want. You have the power to cultivate your mind, develop your skills, build meaningful relationships, and find true happiness and fulfillment. It's not always easy,
Right.
but it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And these books, while offering different perspectives, all point towards that same empowering truth.
That's a great note to end on. So to our listeners, remember that the journey doesn't end here.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing,
Yeah.
and most importantly, keep living with intention and purpose. Until next time, happy reading.